Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to Let's Talk, a call-in show on Skeptic Haven channel. Let's Talk is a safe place for atheists, those questioning or leaving religion, and anyone that wants to ask questions and have respectful discussions. From the U.S., call us at 984-789-4787. And from outside the U.S., just look down there. You'll see a little URL on the screen, and you can talk to us through that as well. Oh, never mind. That's the next line, which doesn't come till later.
This is Skeptic Haven. Let's talk.
All right. Aron, how you doing, man?
It's all right. Welcome to another Sunday.
Another Sunday that I didn't have to get up early and go to fucking church, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, indeed.
Well, I think we're going to be speaking to people today about whether or not a God exists, and I already know what yours and my opinion is.
Yeah. Well, of course not. Don't be fucking stupid. There's no Santa Claus either. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news.
And I think, am I correct in saying that we have our first caller already? Oh, they're not hearing me through the call-in studio. That's no good.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello?
Yeah.
Yes, is this Greg?
I heard it beep.
Yep. Are
Can
you
you hear
able
me?
to, I'm guessing you can't hear us.
Yeah, I don't think you
heard
can
it
hear
beep.
us.
But he said he
I
heard
can't.
it, and that's the first symptom.
Oh, Greg
So-
says he does hear us.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Very good.
All right, Greg. I think you know what the topic is for this episode. So talk to us
Shut
about
up.
why you think
You want me to
a
cut
God.
loose and start talking?
I'm sorry, I missed that. Go ahead.
You want me to cut loose and start talking, right?
I'm sorry. What?
I said you want me to cut loose and start talking, right?
Well, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Go ahead.
Tell us why you believe that God exists.
You bet. Let me, first of all, just say from the standpoint of, I think you have to go to the word know and make sure that we're on the same wavelength in terms of knowing.
Sure.
If we're talking about knowing in fact, I don't think it's possible to know in fact, meaning with absolute certainty that there's a God, because I don't think there's a way to know anything with absolute certainty. So as long as we're on the same wavelength there, and we're talking about
We're going to share that opinion on a lot of things. We
being convinced of something because of evidence or some reason or observation or something that's led us to be convinced of something.
Yeah,
That's right. Yeah.
I think we would agree that our knowledge is provisional.
I'm watching my TV or my viewing of it on YouTube because I bet you it's on a delay.
It is.
Got
So if you ask me, how do I know? I don't know. What I do is I believe. I have a confidence in it, and that confidence is based on multiple levels of evidence. I think when you look at things like creation, and I know you've heard this before, and people say, well, creation, hey, that points to it. I think it points to it. It doesn't prove it with absolute certainty. And I probably, because of the things that you would talk about, are the reasons why I would say with creation it does. I'm not one who believes in a 6-day creation. So know that. What I believe in.
Okay, that's a good start.
And probably the things that you believe in terms of evolution, and that those are actually spoken of in the Bible, and that those were spoken of beforehand, before man ever came up with those as being an idea or a concept. So
Sorry, what was spoken of? Sorry, Greg, what was spoken of in the Bible? Hello?
I would say evolution is spoken of in the Bible, and it's in Genesis chapter 1.
Okay, where it doesn't mention anything remotely having to do anything at all with evolution, okay?
It's in Genesis chapter 1.
Okay, let the earth bring forth the living creature.
No,
after
it
its
does.
kind.
I think. I'm not saying I know, but here's the reason. If you look at each of the days of creation,
Well, you know,
you look at what was created, those we're running into a problem because we're on some kind of a delay or something.
yeah, well, there's going to be a delay, but that's okay. We can pause and wait, and I'll speak once there's enough time, or Aron will speak.
You're,
You good?
hear what your questions are. Okay,
What, my
wait. Are you
question?
here? Maybe we're on now. Okay, so if you look at each day of creation and you look at what was being spoken of as being the thing that's created, what you're actually seeing is the most contemporary form of life. So when you see the plants being created, you're seeing plants that are bearing seed and bearing fruit.
Okay. Was it, you know, one thing I'm kind of curious about.
When you see the birds and the sea creatures, the birds is actually the most contemporary form coming up through the dinosaurs.
Okay.
Then why
At
were
least-
the birds created before the great beasts?
When you see mankind being spoken of, I'm sorry, I have to kind of go back and forth. You actually, in Genesis chapter 1, verse 24 and 25, what you're seeing is actually, it talks of living creatures being created in 24 and 25, and it ends with the beasts of the earth. The beasts of the earth is actually a reference possibly to hominids.
Okay, so I'm going to jump in for a moment because there's nothing remotely consistent with evolution at all.
Then when you look at Genesis chapter 1, 26 and
yes, I know. So the question was why you believe in a God, and what the answer is from you is that you believe in the Bible because you believe in the Bible,
exactly,
and you believe in God because you believe in the Bible. And so you believe in the Bible because you believe in the Bible, and the Bible says whatever that says, and you're going to say that it means evolution. So
yep.
You're not actually telling us why you believe in God.
Are you claiming that the evidence in this or the stories within the Bible are evidence?
When you ask me a question, I'm talking about something, and it's later that my words actually are spoken.
Are you talking about a delay in the transmission?
There's a delay.
There's a delay. Okay. Well, I don't know what to do about that.
Yeah, I'm getting a real bad delay.
Yeah.
That's why this conversation's not flowing very well.
All right, let's try this again. Let's try putting you back in the queue, and then maybe we can fix that if we take another caller.
Can you put me back in the queue and maybe try someone else?
Yeah, and
we could do that.
It's the only thing I can think of. The closest thing to, like, rebooting your computer and starting again. Because obviously this is going to be unintelligible.
Are you responding to what we're saying on the YouTube channel? Oh, he's gone.
Yeah, because there's a huge delay there.
Oh yeah, big time.
And it just gets bigger with every ad.
He's going to reset his computer as well. Yeah, that's true too. And Greg, you can probably hear us while you're in the chat there, but I got to tell you, man, I don't think it's a good idea to quote the Bible in defense of a God existing, because both Aron and I don't care what the Bible says. Like, to us, it's nothing but a book of mythology, like all the other religions that have come before it.
Yeah, it's important to throw this out. The Bible is wrong, regardless whether there's a God or not. That if there really is a God, evolution is still a demonstrable, inescapable fact of population genetics, fossils, and phylogeny, and all the scriptures of every religion are still already falsified folklore with no truth in them. So, if you want to tell me why you believe in God, the Bible is not the answer. The Bible is wrong.
The Bible's the claim.
Yeah.
So,
do we have another caller?
I'm not sure. Let's see what he says in
Well,
the private chat.
I don't know where to go from there. I can't see if we've got another caller coming up. I'm just going to, I guess, Neil?
Yeah.
You want to chat for a moment?
That's what we're going to do. One of the things I wanted to bring up, though, is the order of creation according to the Bible. And he was talking about the plants and bearing seeds and all that stuff, which is great because that's what they do. And we want them to do that. But that's irrelevant because don't forget that the plants came before the sun, according to the scriptures.
And let's not forget that the Bible also says that the earth is flat.
True. And it's got this magical, mystical, fucking
firmament.
Whatever they call it. I was going to say filament for some
When
reason.
I
But
first
firmament.
read the Bible, I remember when I was 12, when I first read the Bible, I remember coming to my mom just like immediately. I'm barely into the thing. I'm like 3 or 4 verses into the thing before I come to her and go, Mom, what's a firmament? She has no idea. They never
really?
do. Yeah, they never do. You know. Anyway,
Interesting.
Okay, so I got to see a note that they got the sound fixed.
Okay.
Yeah. So I guess we can take another call then. Oh, never mind. The next caller is that guy.
Not Otangelo. Come on, no. I'd rather pull my teeth out with a pair of pliers and no anesthesia.
What is wrong with that guy?
I don't know. He's a joy to be around. He's haunted my chats before. Yeah. Wait. Oh, look, he's even prepared. Yeah. That's amazing. But I guess we could try talking to Greg again if Greg's willing to.
If he's available, let's put him back on.
After he heard us go on about that, he may like, well, fuck those guys. I ain't talking to them.
Yeah.
All right, we do have someone being screened, so we will wait for that.
Yay!
Oh, hey! All right, is it better now?
I can hear you, and I'm actually hopefully we're aligned. Okay, very good.
It sounds like we might be.
It's fine. I mean, absolutely. After hearing y'all say that I'm an idiot and don't know anything, I'd love to get back on.
No, that's not what we said.
Yeah, that's not what I said. That was not what we said.
Hey, but you do bring up some good points from the standpoint of, you said, okay, the sun, it's created, it comes before the plants
4.
are supposedly in the order of what the Bible says comes before the sun, the moon, and the stars, and all of that.
What do you say about the earth having a firmament?
What do I think the firmament is? I think that's the best description that people in ancient times had for probably what the atmosphere was.
Okay, so we're talking about the people of ancient times.
Some kind of a form of something that was in between. And I know that the word in ancient Hebrew means some kind of metallic layer or something that's actually there. I think they're trying to describe as best they can. There's something
they described it as being like molten glass. They said it was a solid substance.
That's more accurate.
It gives the impression, although it never says it's a dome, it gives the impression that it's a dome over the flat disc-shaped earth, that the earth is mounted on columns, and that it's like a snow globe, a reverse snow globe, because above the firmament is water, an eternal abyss of water.
They're trying to describe it as best they can. I think they're trying to describe it as best they can as they're being inspired. within the language, and obviously they don't know everything from a scientific standpoint.
And that's why
hold on a
Bible's
sec.
wrong then.
There's something there. There's an atmosphere, and so if that's what, and I think you have to ask, okay, if that's really what they're trying to do, are they out of order? Because if you had in the beginning, you'd have light. We see that with cosmic microwave background radiation, or you see that if there is a God.
Okay, why would these ancient people say anything about Big Bang cosmology? If they're trying to describe the Earth as in the best terms they know of, why would they go to the Big Bang?
They didn't know about it at the time.
If they were actually describing it, there's no reason why they would go there, and that's the whole point.
Right.
Because if they do go there, it has to be from someone outside of themselves that's actually saying, hey, look, I'm inspiring you to be able to talk about stuff that you should have no clue about.
Yeah, but they're only talking about the things that they knew. So one of the interpretations of Genesis, one of the interpretations of Genesis is where they describe it as the coming dawn. So the phrase that it's darkest before the dawn, right? So first you have light, and then the earth looks like a void. But you can distinguish the some degree of light in the sky, and it's the more you get, the more you can make out. So you start making out more and more features of this world. And then you have a lit sky, and eventually the sun appears. So it's already lit, and you've been able to discern, oh, these are birds, these are trees, and now we have the sun. They're not talking about Big Bang cosmology. They thought the Earth was flat.
That's what you believe.
What?
That's what you believe, though. You don't know that. It is possible
I'll tell you what I know. I'll tell you what I know. What I actually know, there was no Adam and Eve.
You don't think?
I know that there was no Adam and Eve. I know that there was no global flood of Noah's Ark.
How do you know there was no Adam and Eve?
Because
it would show up.
Evangelical Christian geneticists have already admitted that Adam and Eve are not even possible. An evangelical Christian, Francis Collins, who was the head of the Human Genome Project and is currently under 4 administrations, is the head of our National Institute of Health. He wrote 2 books as an evangelical Christian in which he said that unfortunately Adam and Eve do not fit the evidence, that it is not even genetically possible for the human diversity that we have today to have come from one couple at any point in history, much less 6,000 years ago. He said the reality is...
So I'm in complete agreement with him.
He said the reality is that the populations of the original humans were numbered in somewhere around 10,000, and that they were hundreds of thousands of years ago.
Which actually may be further back now.
What I believe, and what I think the Bible is actually telling us is in Genesis chapter 1, it's a different creation than in Genesis chapter 2. And that
I would agree with that. The description is different. Yep.
Yes.
It's because it's from 2 different tables.
Right. So what you have in Genesis chapter 1, 26 and 27 is the creation of mankind, not the creation of Adam and Eve. So I'm a different Christian that you're talking to.
Okay, that's fine. But
126 and 127, you probably have the age of man as we know it, which was 200 to 300,000 years ago.
At least.
You mean
that is the creation of
Homo
mankind.
sapien?
Yeah, and it could be 6 to 7 million if you add in the hominids.
Yeah, you could do that, adding our family tree in there. Sure. Yeah.
Okay, so if you throw that in, and that's what is described in Genesis 1:24 and 25, it talks about the creation of the living creatures. Yes, it does. It talks about the creation.
No, I know it says that, but that's not what they're referring to, man.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you think they're referring to? Because it's the same terminology.
Animals in general.
Daniel, when the angel. I'm sorry.
I said just animals in general.
I was talking with you. Yeah. That's what, but the term for living creatures can mean animals, but it can also mean beings. And it's actually the same word that's used in Daniel when Daniel is talking to an angel and he's describing creatures that are coming up out of the water, 4 creatures. And that angel says, these creatures that are coming out of the water are actually earthly kings. So it can mean a being or a human type creature.
Okay, but to get back to the more important point,
yeah.
Genesis chapter
Does
1.
not exist.
Genesis chapter 1 is based on two different myths mostly from the Mesopotamian pantheon. And Genesis chapter 2 is based on 3 or 4 different myths than chapter 1 was. Because the Genesis that you're reading is not the oldest book ever written. That one didn't come into existence, and that one is like post-exilic. That's like from 450 BC or something. And you have other works, lots of other works that are lots older than that. You have like the things in Ashurbanipal's library that are actually thousands of years older than Genesis. Thousands, multiple thousands of years older.
Which wouldn't that make sense though, if Genesis chapter 1 is speaking about a man that's actually older than the people that actually wrote down Genesis?
No.
That you would have other writings from other cultures that actually describe similar things.
Yeah, but in all the wrong ways. So you have the superficial details that remain intact, but the pantheon is different. And the central characters are different. I mean, like, for example, you have the ancient legend of Adapa, who is he's taken to meet the gods. I think it was Enki, I think, that took him to meet the other gods.
Yep.
And he was warned that the gods are tricksters and they may try to poison him. So if they offer him any food, turn it down. And so the gods offered him food, but they didn't offer him the food of death. They offered him the food of life. So it wasn't poison. If he had eaten it, then he would have lived forever. And this is the fable of why people don't live forever. It's because Adapa, the first man, did not eat of the fruit of the tree of life. This is from a fable from Ashurbanipal's library that is known to be thousands of years older than Genesis. And Genesis is obviously an adaptation of that, as well as a bunch of other tropes.
Yes. A lot of the stories are adaptations from other ones. I mean, we have also, the story of Moses in the Exodus, where he was in a basket, floated down the Nile and all that. Well, guess who else had the same fucking story?
Sargon
Horus. And Sargon too. So there's 2 with that story.
And then of course, you've got historians and archaeologists coming together to say, that there was no Moses.
There was no Exodus.
Yeah, the Exodus never happened. The Tower of Babel never happened. The global flood never happened. Garden of Eden absolutely did not ever happen. The world is not flat. There is no firmament.
Right. I don't believe in the Earth being flat, and I don't believe that's actually what the Bible.
Well, then you don't believe in the Bible.
I understand what you're saying, because you say it looks like a sphere, and a sphere is different than a globe. So,
oblate spheroid, I think is the proper term.
A circular disc is different than a globe or a sphere.
Yeah, and it wasn't just that; it's just
where you're coming to.
The disc is divided between north, south, east, and west. So you just draw a big old plus
4
sign
corners
on your disc, cover it with this dome, and then inside the dome, you have the sun and the moon and all the stars. So the sun and the moon, according to the Bible, are both smaller than the Earth. They're the same size as each other, and the moon is bigger than all the stars, because the people who wrote this did not know that the sun was itself a star. They thought the stars were something else. They thought the stars had personalities, and that stars could gather together to come down to Earth to do battle with a human.
I was just going to say, and fall from the sky.
Yeah, because that's what it looks like.
What is interesting in the midst of their things that they didn't understand was the fact that they do get the order right. Now I know you say they don't.
The order right either.
Wait a minute, the sun was created was created after the plants, but that's day 4, and day 4 actually doesn't say in the ancient Hebrew that he created them there. He says that they came to dominate there. It means they were already in existence, but that light became the dominant light at that time. The dominant light that was the dominant light before that was the one that was in Genesis chapter in the first day.
Greg, let's go back a little bit. Let's go back into the Genesis story a bit here, okay? Because you said one of the first things is let there be light. Okay, what is light, Greg? It's photons. photons are created in stars.
That-
So if you don't
that's
have
a type of
stars,
light.
you have no photons.
Cosmic background radiation is also a type of light. But also biblically, a type of light is also the glory of God.
It's not a light we can see without mechanical manipulation.
Are you talking about
They didn't
cosmic
know
background
about-
radiation?
Yes, they didn't know about the CMB until they actually were
With the
able to
Wilson-
see it through a spectrum.
And there's no reason these people would have ever
It
made
was the
any
Wilson
reference.
microwave
at all.
anisotropic probe is where they started. I
And these
believe.
people would have made
That's
no reference at all to Big Bang or microwave radiation. None of that. That's why
They didn't know what
didn't.
microwaves were.
Yeah.
They didn't
When
know
you
what
talk about
germs
the
were.
stretching out the heavens, they were talking about God making a firmament to dome the earth, to keep the water above the firmament out.
Right. Right. And the question is, what were they thinking of as being water? I mean, even if you look at stars, what is
Probably
it? Red
H2O.
stars, when they, those supernova, don't they blow out as much water as the Nile does every second?
Greg, they were not talking about supernovas. They thought the stars were smaller than the sun and that the sun was smaller than the earth. And they were not talking about supernovas.
I know that's what they thought. I know that's what they thought. That's
Okay.
But the point is that even if they thought that, the question is that what God was actually inspiring them to write it towards?
But he obviously
Or
wasn't
inspiring
inspiring them to write it. That's why the Bible got
Actually,
everything wrong. Now,
If God inspired them to write stuff in that book, it would be correct because he knows all, right?
No,
So
it would be, yeah, but he's
there'd be no
also
misinterpretation.
within a
Besides, he
certain
wouldn't
knowledge.
need them to write the book, man. He could just snap his fucking fingers and there would be a book that whoever picked it up would be able to read it in their language as well. Like that's what a god should be able to do. But no, he relied on broken telephone fucking game to write this book, and they got it all wrong.
yep.
Well,
I mean,
what
like
he
everything.
relied on was second Genesis man to present that, and then that man was actually able to speak with what we see in the New Testament as being Pentecost power. They were able to speak and everyone understand their language, and for them to be the other people to be able to speak in their language, and for the Genesis 2 man to actually be able to understand them. That's
So-
Adam's line.
The question was,
It
why
linked-
do you believe in God? And the answer we
I
got
believe in
was,
God.
you believe in the Bible because you believe in the Bible. So you believe in the Bible, and you're reciting the Bible because the Bible's true, because it's God's word. It's not.
No.
So you're still going on the
No.
false assumption that the Bible is God's word, which means you already believe in God before you believe in the Bible. I'm asking, why do you believe in God?
I would say it's numerous things put together. I was trying to tell you with the creation story, one reason because of the evolutionary story that could be there. I'm not saying it says it is there.
isn't.
I'm saying it could be there.
But
it-
isn't.
Well, it could be.
Trust me, he knows.
But it can't be.
Well,
It's not there.
That's what you believe. That's what you believe. That's not what
It's
you know.
not what I believe. There's nothing of it there.
If everything is speaking in kinds, and what kinds actually means is not family or order, what like some evangelical Christians say, but what it actually means is everything on an evolutionary branch. And what you're seeing is the thing that is most contemporary to man at that time on that evolutionary branch. Then he's perfectly described to you all the different branches, the major branches of Darwinian evolution.
In all the wrong
Really?
orders and in all the wrong ways.
What's the wrong order about it? Do plants start before the sea creatures and birds?
Yeah, that's wrong right there.
So plants didn't come before?
Right.
Not land plants.
Not land plants, but that's not where plants started. Everything started in the sea.
But land
And
plants,
that's what
correct.
the Bible actually says.
in cellular
Genesis 12,
biology, you have
Genesis 3.
endosymbiosis, where you have a eukaryotic cell has engulfed two mitochondria. Basically, they're rickettsia bacteria. The rickettsia bacteria now have a symbiotic relationship with the host cell so that they produce ATP for the host and they receive nutrients from the host. So they're basically paying their room and board. So this is the basis of the animal cells. Now, later on, a subset of that does a second endosymbiotic event, and now they've absorbed cyanobacteria. And the first one, by the way, the rickettsia bacteria become what we now know as mitochondria. And then in the second event, this daughter set has not only mitochondria already, but now they've also engulfed cyanobacteria, which gives them their chloroplasts. So now they have both mitochondria and chloroplasts. This is where plant cells come from. So plants are after animals, both in the cellular level and also on land.
Plants are after animals.
Yes.
If you're counting eukaryotes as being animals.
No, I'm not.
Okay, so isn't that what you just described to me?
No, I was talking about exclusively eukaryotes. Yeah, I said the basis of the animal cell. But then, as Neil pointed out, when we're talking about where plants show up in the fossil record, preceded by animals. So the oldest organisms we know, the oldest organisms we know that are not simply protists, that are not multicellular microbes, or that are not just microbes. The first multicellular anythings are about 700 million years ago, and they're sponges. Plants don't show up until a good while later.
Right. Well, and if you look in the scripture in terms of, and I know you hate me going to the scripture because I know you don't believe it.
Because it's nonsense.
And I understand.
It's Aesop's fables.
But the first thing that happened in terms of life is actually not even talking about plants. It's talking about when the Spirit hovered over the surface of the water, and it was talking about water that was dead. It's over the surface of the deep, and then it talks about the Spirit hovering over the surface of water, and that life is then coming in that water.
What does that tell you?
Things that are talking about amino acids. We're talking about all the precursors to.
But
the
it's
things
not talking about amino acids.
So
It was talking about an Earth already existing. It's talking about an Earth already existing. We haven't seen it yet. We can't make out the details, but the Earth is already there. Right at the very beginning, only the Spirit of God moved over the face of the waters. What that means is to talk about the wind, because they didn't know that air was particulate matter, but they knew that the wind could blow stuff. They knew that clouds existed and moved, and that when they thought that what they believed as dust devils, what we call dust devils today, they thought they were literal devils. So they thought the air was spiritual. So they thought the breath of life was spiritual. The reason they thought they have soul inside them is because when they die, in one translation, they breathe their last, but in another translation, they give up the ghost. Because they thought the movement of air was spiritual, that it was the soul. So God's Spirit moving over to the face of the water, they're talking about the wind. And that's it.
That's what you believe they're talking about. And it could be.
It's not a belief. It's not a belief.
That's what I'm saying, that I'm not saying that, that's why I at the very beginning said, do we know this for certain? Yeah. I'm telling you, I don't know it for certain. Okay. What I'm telling you is that on the basis of this and other things, and I haven't gotten to any of the other reasons because I told you it was a plethora of things. You don't.
Well, then let's skip this one, because on the basis of your
another one, then
you believe a fable. You believe a fable because you believe a fable, and we know better. But go to the other things. What are the other things?
I think fine tuning is a fine discussion.
Okay, so why is it that we can only exist for a moment? Why is it we can only exist temporarily, only on a portion of the skin of this one tiny mote of dust, and we will be instantly killed absolutely everywhere else in the universe? 78 billion light years across, we will die instantly everywhere. We can only live here on the surface for a moment. How fine-tuned is that?
All the factors that are necessary for you to be able to survive here are in place.
Right. That only exist here, where we have adapted to this planet, and we can't exist for an instant anywhere else.
Correct.
So it's obviously not.
What is your question?
Not fine-tuned for Earth. forgive me, for life. The universe is clearly not fine-tuned for life. The universe is fine-tuned to kill life anywhere except the surface of this one world.
Exactly. It's fine-tuned for life here.
Exactly, but it's not. We adapted to this one world where we have the ability that we're fine-tuned. We are fine-tuned for this environment, and we can't exist anywhere else. That's a pretty bad.
Well, I mean, remember, I'm not against evolution, so that wouldn't surprise me. There's a reason why God took different steps.
Don't you? You build a universe fine-tuned for life, and yet
shit, I was muted.
And yet we can only exist on one mote of dust, a portion of the surface of one mote of dust.
Thanks,
that's it. That shows that the universe was not.
So you have to ask the reason, what's the purpose for that?
That shows you that the universe was not fine-tuned for life.
No,
if we can only exist in this.
The Earth was fine-tuned for life.
What?
And where it was placed in the universe.
Okay, so why did God create a universe 78 billion light years across that only kills
to populate this one little fucking dust ball in the middle of nowhere?
Yeah.
Because originally when the universe was created, it wasn't created for man to be expelled here. It was created.
So you've just refuted your own argument.
And you just said the correct words. The first few of them were, it wasn't created.
It wasn't created. It wasn't fine-tuned.
I said it wasn't created
for life.
You didn't hear the rest of my statement.
Okay.
I said it wasn't created for us. I said it was created for something else.
Okay, so the
universe. I thought it was created for us.
The universe is not fine-tuned.
People believe in the things that I'm talking about in terms of what would have been thrown here, which would have been fallen angels.
Okay, so the universe was not fine-tuned for life.
That's a bad argument. That's a bad argument.
Okay, so the Bible is wrong about everything, scientifically and historically, ethically and morally. I mean, it's just wrong about everything. And then when we put the Bible aside, we look at the universe and realize, well, the universe is clearly not fine-tuned at all, certainly not for life. So we put those two arguments aside.
It is in relation to the Earth. It is in relation to the Earth. Why Jupiter is perfectly placed to be able to take out most of the asteroids.
Oh boy.
Things that would actually do damage to the Earth.
Then why did the dinosaurs go extinct? What was it the KT impact about?
Well, what's interesting
Jupiter
about
must
that
have been sleeping.
actually may be spoken of in the Bible as well, and it's in Genesis 1:23, I believe, and 22. It goes back into the day 5. You see a break in the pattern in how God talks about the creation. He normally, every day that happens, he says that he creates something, and when he creates that thing, he says it's good, and then he says there's evening and morning of whatever day, and he declares it to be good. On this particular day, when he starts talking about the creation of the mammals and different things that are going on there, it's in between, it's at 24 and 25, he actually breaks his pattern and doesn't say there was evening and morning. He doesn't say anything like that. He just says it was good. And I think what it's actually describing there is something that actually took place that's in between the days. And that would actually been the time when
you're still
wiped out.
Okay,
I'm assuming I'm using presuppositions there.
Yeah, then that's
yes.
I know I'm reading into it.
You're still not explaining why you believe in God. You're telling me the things that you believe because you believe in God, but you're not telling me why you believe in God.
So here's okay. So and again, the reason why I was doing the evolution thing, and I'm just going to say this, and then I'll move on because I know that that's not going to work in terms of discussion with you. Is that
not when you got people that actually know about evolution?
Right order, and if it was in the right order and it described what we see in observation, which I believe it does. I know you don't, but if it does, there's no reason for those people at those time in that age to be able to write that. It either they were the best guessers in the world, or they were.
Or I already explained the exact reason. I already explained the exact reason why those people would have written exactly that from their perspective, without
or it could have possibly been that,
without ever even imagining, without knowing anything about cosmology. Matter of fact, the only way they could have written it is if they didn't know anything about cosmology. So these people who obviously didn't know anything about anything wrote this fable.
Or they understood that there was a firmament, or that the firmament could have been just some kind of a thing that separated the Earth and life on it from what was in outer space.
Except what was in outer space is water
the atmosphere and not knowing.
Their entire theology, their entire cosmology is utterly wrong, completely wrong. The sun is not smaller than the earth. It's
As
not
they understood it, yes.
the moon. There is no firmament. The earth is not a flat. It's not on columns. There's no water above where the firmament isn't. All of that is wrong. So when we take the Genesis,
they were wrong.
when we take the Bible itself, the Bible in its entirety is absolutely wrong about absolutely everything. And we take that the universe is deadly to life everywhere. Do you have an argument that implies a God?
I would say that what also implies a God is...
No, we can't go also, because neither of your first two examples work. Neither of your first two examples work. So we can't go also.
No, they don't. They don't work in terms of providing absolute proof. I agree.
And they don't work in providing partial answers either. They're just wrong all the way through completely. Both of your first arguments utterly fail entirely. Now, do you have something that works at all, even a little bit?
I also want to say that people have a really good way of sort of reiterating things that seem to be have something to them, and then they well, maybe they meant this or maybe they meant that. They used to do the same shit with Nostradamus's fucking predictions, and none of those ever actually came to fruition. So as human beings, we develop. Hold on, Greg. As human beings, we like to develop these beliefs and this set of stuff that we interpret as being real, and we like to manipulate words to make all that stuff fit better so that we feel like, okay, our beliefs are valid. We do that. We do that all the time. Someone told me you were a psychologist. You should know these kinds of things.
I've been in neuroscience. Yes, that's true.
Excellent. That's fascinating shit.
Yeah.
So you still believe we have souls.
What's that?
And yet you still believe we have souls.
I do believe we have souls.
Because I've talked to so many neuroscientists.
I don't know
neuroscientists who say that souls are not possible.
Yeah, no.
There's no support for mind-body dualism. We know that everything about the mind is physical.
Mm-hmm. When consciousness goes,
right, but the soul is not. The soul is not physical.
Right, it's made out of soul because there's no support.
You don't believe in a soul.
Support for mind-body dualism. None. Not in neuroscience nor in philosophy. So, and if the soul was not physical, then the soul would be immune to drugs and injury and tumors and all of these sorts of things. And we know that personalities and behaviors and identities can be completely changed through physical means. Whereas if you had a soul in there, that wouldn't be able to happen. If their soul is immaterial, it would be immune to all of this. And yet we have the proof that it isn't.
I have a question. What about conjoined twins? Is that one or two souls?
What about clones?
There's a conjoined twin, one or two souls. It's two.
Is it? How do you fit both of them in there?
Yeah, the conjoined twins would be two. I mean, there's twins. I mean, it's two beings.
Yes, but twins with one body.
And if you have a clone, it would be its own soul, because all it is taking the embryonic life. I mean, fertile life, and you're just making it go through the whole process.
So you're splitting one soul in half and dividing it between two entities.
Yeah,
is that what's happening?
Yeah, because the soul is.
You're saying that if you clone somebody, then it's the same soul in two different bodies?
No, it's two different people at that point.
Why? How could it be?
Clone it. I mean, naturally. How could it be?
Yeah, you're taking a cell. You've got a living person. You've got you, right? And so you go into a cloning lab. They take a cell from you and clone an entire new you out of you. But you're saying that the new soul or the new clone of you is a different soul than you?
I don't know. I don't know that.
Okay.
I don't know the answer to that.
Well,
that
then let's get back to the original question. We know the Bible is wrong about fuck all. The Bible's just wrong about everything. We know that the universe is not fine-tuned for life, clearly, because it kills us all anywhere we go. Do you have any reason?
Hell, it kills us on this planet.
I said it was fine-tuned to Earth. It was not fine-tuned to life everywhere.
But clearly the universe was not fine-tuned for life on Earth either.
Neither was our planet.
Yeah.
Like you can't breathe underwater. What happens if you get too high in the sky? You also can't breathe.
So do you have a reason why?
What about earthquakes and tornadoes?
Yeah, and the Bible remains wrong, as do every scripture of every religion. They're all man-made mythology. They're all human inventions of folklore. They're all demonstrably wrong on a bunch of the things that they say. So you don't have that. You don't have fine-tuning. What do you have?
I think I actually do have both of those that we just disagree on.
I know. You're just not listening.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
no, I'm listening. I'm hearing what you're saying. That's why I said I don't know with absolute certainty. Because what you do bring up are valid things to raise and say, hey, this is why I don't believe that that's the case.
So
I understand.
We know that Adam and Eve didn't happen. This is not just something this is not
claims. This is knowledge-based stuff.
Not where we get to agree to disagree.
But remember, I don't think
we know that Adam and Eve did not happen. We know the global flood of Noah's Ark.
You know that there was no beginning to the Jewish people.
What?
Do we have Jewish people today?
Yes, we have.
Yes,
Jewish people
I'm
today.
an ex-Jew.
Okay, so I believe that Genesis chapter 2 is actually speaking about the creation of that line only, which is kind of interesting in the human genome.
Oh my God! Are you going to give me the seed line theory?
Human genome process.
Are you going to give me the seed line theory?
I think he is. I think he is, Bob.
Are you
I'm not
serious?
of any theory from the standpoint of what, like one that where I'm describing it because I've read it somewhere. And saying, oh, here's this name of this theory that he's using. I'm not using it that way. I'm just looking at the Bible and saying, hey, what does the Bible actually?
Okay. All right. So I've lost all ability to reason with you at all. I think we're just done. I think the last thing is I want to hear how outrageously wrong your notion of where Jewish people comes from in Genesis 2.
I mean, I think Genesis 2 is the creation of Adam 6,000 years ago.
And Adam was a Jew? You're telling me?
Yeah, one Jew. And then the creation of Eve from him.
I'm gonna tell you something right now, Greg. I was raised in the Jewish faith. Never did any rabbi refer to Adam as being a Jew.
No, he was considered a Hebrew, and not even a Hebrew because before then there wasn't even Hebrew.
No,
I understand.
We're going back to the circular argument. You believe the Bible because you believe the Bible, but the Bible is wrong about everything. So
that's your claim.
That's not just my claim. That's what we can prove.
It's demonstrably wrong, dude.
We can prove the Bible is wrong. There was no Tower of Babel. There was no global flood. We can prove this. There was no Exodus. There was no Moses. These things are not supported.
So
when we get to Job, for example,
I'm interested in what you said about the no Tower of Babel. Please explain to me that.
You want an explanation why there was no Tower of Babel?
Here's something for you to consider. Why the hell would God freak out about them building a tower just to reach heaven when we've got the fucking the station in orbit now? That's even way closer. But he didn't do anything about that.
There's no way
nobody even recognizes.
It wasn't about building the towers of heaven. It's about what they said.
Yeah. Why did God punish the people for building? Why did God punish the people for building the Tower of Babel?
Because what they were doing is taking the first step that Satan took in Isaiah 14 when he says, I will raise myself above the heavens. I will raise myself above the stars of God. They were trying to do that.
God gave the answer in that story, and it was different. Are you unfamiliar with your own folklore?
Say it again. I'm sorry. I was talking over you, and I apologize.
God gave the explanation in that story. He said that people, when they work together, they can accomplish anything. And then he says, I'll put a stop to that.
Right.
He didn't want us to be able to
We were
achieve
trying
things
to-
by working together. He wanted to confuse our language to keep us small, to oppress us. The God of the Bible is an evil
group of people
character.
that were actually making the tower. There was mankind from Genesis 1, and it says that the sons of men were leading mankind in the building of the tower. The sons of men is a reference to Genesis chapter 5, where it's giving the genealogy of Adam. And it's that Adam's line was actually leading the rest of mankind in building this tower.
Uh-huh.
And what they were doing is being the coordinators of it. And God recognized if they do this, what they can do is they'll be able to do anything, right?
Yep.
And the thing he was concerned about them doing was that they were going to set themselves up as their own God.
Yep. And you see this theme repeated throughout the Bible, where and in ancient mythology older than the Bible too. The gods are very insecure about people becoming like unto them. So in the Bible, you have where they have man has forbidden knowledge. He knows right from wrong. And if he knows right from wrong, then he will be like unto God. And the gods don't want people to be like unto God.
No one likes competition.
In the biblical sense, in the biblical sense, I'm sorry, I talked over you again.
In Greek mythology, the issue was fire. If man had control of fire, then he would be like unto God. So fire was the forbidden knowledge. And then not Prometheus. What is it? Was it Prometheus that gave the forbidden knowledge to man? And for that, Prometheus was crucified for 10,000 years on a rock, where a vulture would come and eat his liver every day.
Mm-hmm. And it would grow back so the vulture could eat it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this was
I can say is what I believe about that.
It doesn't really matter what you believe. All that matters is why you believe it.
Right. And ultimately what it comes down to is because I want to believe it.
I know. That's
something that you
go.
And that's a huge admission. And you probably won't have Christians that will say to you, it's because I want to believe it.
I get that all the time. I get that all the time. I get people that tell me, I've had people tell me that these are the facts, but I prefer to believe this. Why does it have to be true before I believe it? Why can't I believe what I want to believe, regardless whether it's true or not? I want to know that I'm gonna meet my dead father or my dead son again when I die. So I have an emotional need to make.
I have none of those reasons for why I want to. Just to let you know.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to get to. And so you've admitted that, like all these other people, you make believe something that is not evidently true because you like to pretend that.
No, Greg, I want to believe lots of things too, but I know that they're not real, so I don't.
I see the evidence differently than you see it.
You don't see evidence at all.
When I look at it, I see an ordered creation that matches what science says. And you're telling me it doesn't. And I say, well, okay, I understand that you don't believe that. I see it as doing it, as doing that.
Okay, so
the fact that what we believe is what we're convinced of. I'm convinced of it. Okay. And you're convinced otherwise.
Yes,
I'm going to go out. You have faith. You've already admitted that you believe what you believe because you want to believe it. You believe in authority, arguments from authority, which is a logical fallacy, but you want to believe it, so you're going to make an excuse, which isn't.
I don't believe in based on authority. I don't believe just strictly on that basis.
But you said that God wrote this, right? You say you believe in the Bible because you believe that God wrote it.
I believe he inspired it, yes.
In what way did God inspire a bunch of errors to be written into mythology?
I don't think those are errors. I think that he allowed them to be able to think in the way that they could about it, but he also wrote it in a way that in the future, when we saw actually
so you believe in the argument from authority that I just described. You said you didn't, but it turns out you did.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so describe for me. Tell me what the fallacy of authority means, because I'm not
argument from authority.
Yeah. See, science doesn't have authorities.
That's private key.
Yeah, we can quote like Carl Sagan. Carl Sagan would have been somebody that people could have said, "Hey, you guys have authorities. Look at Carl Sagan, for example." But Carl Sagan is not authority. Matter of fact, he said that arguments from authorities are worthless. Whatever is inconsistent with the facts, no matter how fond of it we are, must be discarded or revised. So you can have an expert, but you can still overturn the experts. Simple facts will overturn
Which
the
I
experts.
believe is what I'm talking about when I describe what the Genesis 1 and Genesis 2 are actually talking about. I think when you actually see what the evidence presents, it shows you
What
something
is the
different.
evidence? You don't.
And I know
Why
you
do
would point
believers
out
always
that
pretend they have evidence? You don't have evidence.
could be.
Two things believers always do, and this annoys me because it happens every fucking day. They always pretend they have evidence when they don't. They pretend that I have faith when I don't. And so they want to assert they want to project their own faults onto me, to pretend as if I have faith, to accuse me of having faith, to accuse me of having a religious belief in whatever I do.
What does faith mean to you? When
What?
a Christian says faith, let me ask you what you think the definition of that is.
When
It's
a Christian
the
says
biblical
faith,
definition of saying, hey, it's the evidence of things not seen and
Well,
all that.
hang on, and we'll give you a definition because mine and his are identical. So
yeah. So
Okay.
faith is. Go ahead.
I think he's ready for you.
Okay. So faith is
I'm waiting for either of you.
faith is a firm conviction that is not dependent on evidence. Generally, faith is based on an assumption of authority. So you have authorities. When authority says something, it's like when William Lane Craig says that when there's a conflict between science and the Bible, science got it wrong. The belief in authority is that the authority cannot be wrong. Even when we can prove that the authority is wrong, the authority cannot be wrong.
Okay. So how I think about that is that it is absolutely possible that their interpretation of the scripture is wrong. And so it is entirely possible the science got it right, and how people are thinking about the scripture is wrong.
Okay.
That would be a third way
Okay.
that it could be. That's how
Greg?
that's how I see it.
Okay, and that's great. But I would seriously, if I was you, I would sit back and consider everything that we've spoken about today, the things that we actually do know to be factual versus what you believe to be factual, and maybe harbor on that and come. Say that again.
With absolute certainty, the things that you say that you know and that are factual, do you know those things with absolute certainty?
On that Noah's Ark never happened? Yes, that one's absolutely certain.
Okay, let's just put it this way.
It's not a global flood. I would agree with you. I think that is not that's not possible.
Okay, Greg.
But I think
The Bible says it was. The Bible says a lot of ridiculous shit. The Bible says that the guy lived for 3 days inside a fish. We know that didn't happen. It says that the sun stopped in the sky for hours or so. It said
We'd be dead if that happened.
Yeah. There's a whole bunch of stuff that the Bible says that we know for certain absolutely did not happen.
Yep.
And then when you
Anyways.
get into Job has a conversation with God in which God says a lot of absurd things, where God actually describes the earth. In his own words, God describes the earth as being flat, that it takes the shape of a seal under a press, so that it's a disc that has like topographical contours, but that's it. It's a disc. And that God says that he keeps lightning and snow in storehouses. Because Job, like Genesis, was written by people who didn't know what the fuck they were talking about.
Yeah, but was it they quoting God on that, or were they
Yeah, they were quoting God directly. Yes.
Okay, I'll go and look at that.
Okay. Greg, I do want to thank you for jumping in here and just shooting the shit with us about this stuff. Appreciate you doing that. We do have some more callers that we have to get to.
Yeah,
so
and by the way, you never answered why you believe in a God. It was just circular arguments. Things you could only believe if you already believe in a God. So you believe in them because you believe in God, but you never gave a reason for why you believe in God.
I believe in the prophetic evidence. I believe in the statistical probabilities that are associated with this stuff.
Don't even.
And how it came into being.
Okay,
I mean,
let's
there's
not
a lot
even
of
go there.
things that we go down into. But I understand.
Next
You gotta
time.
move on.
Yeah,
Next time.
Yeah, no worries. All right.
Okay,
Thank you.
Greg. Have a good one.
You take care. Bye-bye.
You too. Before we do take our next caller, I want to mention that Skeptic Haven is looking for volunteers to help behind the scenes. If you'd like to be a part of our team, send us an email at info@skeptichaven.com. Well, I that whole conversation felt circular to me. So
very.
It's not an uncommon thing to have happen when you're talking about these sorts of things with people that are in full belief of stuff like this.
Who've never questioned their position, and I don't think can.
Well, some do, right? How many people have I interviewed on my channel?
Yep, most of American Atheists, the organization. I'm on the chairman of board. I'm chairman. I'm on the board of directors for American Atheists, and most of us were raised to be Christian. Most of American Atheist members at any level were raised to be Christian.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't mean we stayed Christian. So just because you were born and raised to be, we're indoctrinated with belief, it doesn't mean that we don't get better at some point later in life.
Yeah, some of us can, some of us.
But there are some people who just don't or won't.
Won't, I think, is your operative word there. We have another caller, I believe, named Boba, which is really cool because it reminds me of Star Wars, and Star Wars is awesome. Yeah, Infidel says we got better, not saved. Hi, Boba. How you doing?
Hey, good. Thank you very much for having me on tonight, guys.
Pleasure. So what you got for us, man?
Well, I have a few questions, I guess. I'm not really familiar with the topic of Satanism, and I've recently encountered a growing satanic cult that's like recruiting people through social media. So
really?
You guys can explain a few things to me. I don't want to mention anything by name or explain things too well, because then you could easily find out about it, I guess.
Well, the idea of Satanism being a cult is like, those are contradictions. A cult is a religious organization to begin with, who prioritizes membership in the cult over family connections. That's the one meaningful description, because a lot of people say that a cult is a small religion and a religion is a large cult, but there is a little more specific than that, because cults do tend to sever familial connections for membership in the cult. Like when Jesus said that you cannot follow me unless you hate your sister and your brother and your father and your mother and your wife and even your own life. That classifies Christianity as a cult, which at the time it was. But I don't see Satanism having any such impact. There's no impetus in Satanism to sever your connections to family.
That's right. And Satanism does not fall under what we call the bite model. Are you familiar with the bite model?
I'm not.
Bite model is an acronym. It stands for behavioral control, information control. What the hell is the other one now? See, when you get old, you start losing your mind. So.
I'm going to look that up.
Oh boy, yeah, look it up, because the last two it totally just fell out of my head. Yeah, behavioral control, information control, thought control, and emotional control. That's correct. Yes. And cults take off every single one of them.
Thank you for that, Neil. That's very helpful. That is correct. So,
by the way,
Satanism advocates for free thought, so it doesn't fall into any of that. In what way is this group a cult?
I That's a little hard to explain, I guess. I mean, they're in some ways doing the first thing you mentioned, where they're like cutting people off from their families, I guess.
Well, I'm
I've never
be
heard of that.
interested in investigating that. I'm only familiar with. I mean, I have interviewed devil worshippers. I tend to classify them different from Satanists.
Yes.
Satanism was described by Anton LaVey way back when as being that Satanists are atheists. He said that there were no theistic Satanists. I have since met people who believe in that there's an actual supernatural being that they worship that would
Wouldn't
be
those be
a match for the character of
Luciferians?
Satan. What's that?
Wouldn't that be Luciferians?
I met somebody that I interviewed the Dogma of Angra Mainyu. It was like,
Oh, geez.
yeah, they were a group of theistic Satanists. We call them devil worshippers to keep them in a different category because Satanism is atheistic. LaVeyan Satanism
Yes.
don't
Yes.
believe in God or
Any
Satan or the
supernatural at all.
supernatural. The Satanic Temple don't believe in God or Satan or the supernatural. There's a lot of offshoots for TST. They're all humanist. They're all atheist, rationalist. So the idea of a satanic cult is a bit confusing.
I'm sure there are some small entities out there that call themselves Satanists.
I know.
And they are
I've
very
met
cultish.
one that they had
Yeah.
40 people. They were able to they won a court case in Oklahoma City where they could use the Oklahoma City Civic Center for a black mass. And they were able to muster 40 people, which impressed me because this was like the one event where all of the devil worshippers could come together, and they were only able to muster 40 people. There were 200 Christians outside the building protesting.
Boy.
Yeah.
Oh,
but
that's-
40 people inside.
Maybe
I
I
went
could-
to Satan Con. I was a featured I was the keynote speaker at the first
Yes.
Satan Con. I went to both Satan Cons, and both of them, there were several hundred people, if not more than 1,000, that were that were actually official members and participants. But this one group of devil worshippers, they could only muster 40. Yeah. So we're talking about the people who call themselves, who say that they call themselves satanic. If they're saying that they actually believe in a Satan, if they believe in a literal devil, they're a tiny minority compared to the number of atheistic Satanists out there.
Yeah, I would agree. So, Bubba, I got to ask you something. You sounded like when you first started speaking about this, about these Satanists that were seemed to be like dividing people and stuff like that. I'm assuming you're speaking about this out of concern.
Well, yeah, I was hoping you guys could, you clarified a little bit about, the definitions between Satanism and like devil worship, for example. So
Okay.
maybe I should have said that they're practicing under a banner like satanic initiation. That's what they're saying.
Sure.
Okay.
And I didn't want to go too much into their actual beliefs without going, explaining that.
Well, I would be interested in that because, to my experience, Satanists don't have beliefs.
Well, I mean, I say that as the Satanic Temple member myself. We have what we call the 7 tenets, which is basically our version, I guess you would say, of the 10 commandments. But they're not commandments; they're just suggestions on a better way to be.
Yeah,
like helping people and
and
take care of yourself and others and that sort of stuff. Oh yeah.
One of the things I like about the 7 tenets is where when you have to be, you have to cater your position to what science shows rather than what you just want to believe, which completely relates to our previous caller. And then there's another aspect. There's one of the other tenets that actually opens up an avenue for forgiveness, which goes against all the accusations about cancel culture. If somebody acknowledges that, hey, I was out of line, you're not blacklisted. There's a path to forgiveness. Hey, you realize you made a mistake? That's good. Just realizing that is a helpful first step, and we can work on forgiveness.
I guess a good question I would have for you is that kind of leads off to what the previous caller had talked about, which is the appeal to authority. Is the figure that's the leader of this group is an expert in mystery religions and specifically like Greek medical texts. So he uses this to, he'll use this to sort of recruit his members as the only authority who could speak on these subjects like Satanism.
Okay, so if you're talking about authorities, as I said, in science we don't have authorities. So this leads me to think that you're talking about a theistic devil worshiper group.
Yeah, sounds like it.
In which case they could be a cult.
Sure. Let me ask you something, Boba. Are you a believer in God at all?
I guess you could say I believe in. I mean, it's hard to just say I believe in God. I've had some.
I get that.
I've had some
totally
personal experiences that are strange and hard to explain.
Okay, sure.
Without going into more detail than that.
That's fine. If you don't want to, that's totally fine. I'm just assuming that those are the experiences that you had on a personal level that now leave you convinced that there's something bigger than us, I guess.
Right.
Interesting thing. There was a poll taken.
I don't have any particular agenda or anything against Satanism, but it seems that the group that I'm talking about is predatory, I guess, in a way, and because of the authority figure, there's not anybody really to contest any of the things that he's saying, and he does have some expertise on these subjects, and it's kind of a fringe thing, mystery religions, and like you said, maybe they're theistic or they're devil worshippers rather than Satanists. I'm just trying to explain them how they explain themselves, I guess.
Yeah, and that's fair, because there are some people that do call themselves theistic Satanists. It's just they're pitifully few.
I guess I wanted to ask, if a group like this is recruiting under a banner of Satanism or satanic initiation, how would you explain that that's not what they are? If they're using sort of like doublespeak to recruit people under that banner.
Well, I just said if they have beliefs, and we're not just talking about things that like where we believe in democracy, where we believe in bodily autonomy, where we believe in human rights. We're not talking about those kind of beliefs. If we're talking about things that we believe that are not evidently true, but a belief system requires that you believe those things anyway, like believing that the supernatural exists, believing that magic is real, and these are requirements of a belief system. Well, then those are we could classify those as theistic Satanists. I don't know anything about the group that you're talking about, but that's what it sounds like they are. Because Satanists in the larger category of Satanists, both the Satanic Temple and Levian Satanism, they don't believe in anything supernatural at all.
I think your cat's trying to steal your breath, isn't he? Okay. Boba, I would be concerned about
more information about this, because it'd be something interesting to look up.
Yeah, I mean,
definitely.
I guess I can share a little bit more privately with you. It's some of it's kind of extreme and not very, it's kind of disgusting actually. So
okay, well,
hard to just without saying too much about exactly what they believe in and what their purposes for recruiting people into their group is, or calling them a cult. That's kind of why I was asking you. It's helpful that you define those things, because they seem to be growing extremely rapidly, and they're using things like YouTube to recruit people, and are openly recruiting under a banner of Satanism. But they're practicing things like black magic, or whatever you want to call it. They're practicing magic, occultism, and the research that they do specifically involves translating ancient religions so that they can learn stuff that only they're privy to this kind of knowledge.
Okay. They're not the only ones privy to that kind of knowledge, first of all. And second of all, don't worry about black magic. Magic isn't fucking real, so don't worry about it. I've spent years trying to be a Wiccan, and none of it happened. So, it's nonsense. And I got out of that too, luckily.
Let them practice. Shut up. Let them practice their metaphysical masturbation all they want to. They're going to be completely harmless with it.
Be shooting blanks, so to speak.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you guys for asking some of my questions. Maybe I can send you an email or something.
Yes, please.
How can I get in contact with you?
Neil, what's the best way
to get in contact with you?
The show, whatever.
I would talk to Wes when you get off of here and see if one of the people in the production area can give you Aron's email, because we're not going to just announce it like this, because he'll be getting emails from everybody going, but God is fucking real. So, just talk to the guys that screen called you, and they can probably get that for you. Okay. Yep. Wes says that'll work. So you're good.
Okay.
All right. Listen, before we get on to the next caller, I just want to make mention here that Tuesday nights here on here on Skeptic Haven, I was already reading too far ahead. Sometimes I do that. Tuesday nights, we have Secular Soapbox. Thursday nights, The Sunny Spot. Saturdays, the Global Atheists and Women Atheists Unload, with lots of great hosts. And Sundays, well, you're watching it right now, it's Let's Talk. And tonight you're stuck with me and Aron. So, and a snake. And a falcor. And a kitty. And I have a jumping spider over there, but So I believe we have another caller.
Hello?
Oh, I hear noise. Hello, is this John?
Hello? Yes, it's me. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Good. I like your headband, by the way.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
I always buy the same one, because if I buy a different one, people might not recognize me.
Okay. Anyway, I'll ask a question of Aron Raw.
Sure.
Okay. Mr. Raw, how are you?
Mr. Raw.
All right. I fear I may be getting older, and I'm trying to go the other way, but it's not working.
You and me both, brother.
Good, good. I have two questions for you. Aron. Did you have faith? And if you did, what made you lose it?
Was the question, did I ever have faith?
Which you did.
Yeah.
At one
Yes,
time.
I used to lie to myself.
The entire story's on my channel, by the way, if you want to go check it out.
Oh, okay.
But we'll talk about it here, or else what's the point of having you on, right?
Yep.
Yeah. But anyway, I just want to say that I'm a huge fan of your work, Mr. Raw, and I just wanted to say keep it up, and I just wanted to say that.
Thank you very kindly.
Yeah.
He does a lot of great work, and I can I concur with that.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say. Good night.
Okay.
That's all you wanted to say.
Yeah.
Look at you getting all the accolades.
Well, I do have one question though.
What's that?
Okay, sure.
Yeah. How can one believe in Satanism but not actual Satan?
But because you don't believe in Satanism.
Yeah, there's no actual belief in a devil or Satan or anything like that.
Yeah.
Do you know why the temple?
I joined the Satanic Temple for purely political reasons.
Yes,
I saw that they were advocating for women's autonomy, that they were advocating for church-state separation. I saw the inroads that they were making in defense of our First Amendment freedoms, and there was a point when I thought, you know what, I should give a public voice to support these efforts, because that's the same thing that American Atheists, my organization, that we're doing. But there's things that the Satanic Temple is recognized as a religion by the government. So they have inroads that American Atheist 501c3 does not.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And John, I'm one of the founding members of Canadian Atheists. So if you're interested in looking that up, you can check that out online too.
Canadian Atheists, how are they different from American Atheists?
Well, we're Canadian.
Well, Canadian.
We're them damn knuckleheads, eh? And you're from Canada, John. You should know that.
From one Canadian to another, stay loose, brother.
You too, man.
Okay, have a good night, gentlemen.
Yeah.
You too.
Right.
Well, that was kind of interesting. The guy just, I think, honestly, he didn't really have a, why do you believe in God sort of thing. He may or may not. I don't know. I don't even know. We didn't even get to that. But he just wanted to come in here and send you some accolades.
Yeah, well, nice enough.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's got a point. You do great work, man. Why do you think I got hooked?
Thank you.
I'm like, look at this guy. He's talking about all the stuff that makes sense, and he's got fucking wicked hair like me. One day I'm going to meet this guy, and lo and behold, we ended up meeting. So
I don't suppose I'm going to see you in Sarnia in a couple of weeks, right?
Yeah, you are.
Really?
I've already got my plane, hotels, everything's done. I'll be there.
Outstanding. So looking forward to that. Yeah,
me too, man. You promised you were going to make me drink some fucking 9,000 ABV beer or something.
So. I can't bring it over the border, can I?
No, you can't.
Yeah.
Fortunately. You may be able to ship it ahead of time. I'd look into that.
All right. Do we have another caller?
Let me double check. I'm watching the actual chat, not the private chat.
Yes, hello?
Yes.
Yeah, hi there. They didn't give me your name yet, so...
I got many names. Not trying to start off on an unstable foundation with you. I just would rather stay anonymous at the moment.
So should we go with Tim? I am known by many names, but you can call me Tim.
I just had a few
reference.
questions, if you would be willing to accommodate me and answer them with all due respect.
All right.
Sure, we'll do our best.
Okay. My question is, you're an atheist. You do not believe in the existence of a God under the present knowledge that you possess and acquire, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that's fairly accurate. I don't think I've really even being... Well, real quick here. I was actually born to Christians, but raised in a Jewish family. I was given up for adoption. And my entire life, I had people telling me the Old Testament. I even knew about the New Testament because my best friend was a Christian. And all of it, I remember thinking, even at 4 years old, that it was just like mythology. It just sounded like mythology to me, like the Greek stuff, the Roman stuff, et cetera, et cetera. You understand what I mean?
Yes, and I'm with you 100%.
Okay.
Okay, here's my next question, and I'm saying this humbly with all due respect.
Okay.
There is a such thing as cause and effect. Would you agree?
Yes, that is. Yeah, we know that there are cause and effect. Yes.
Okay. Multiple causes could give a single effect, or a single effect can cause multiple causes. Correct?
A single effect can cause multiple.
I don't know about that last one. I think okay. Things.
If I plant a single apple seed, it becomes a single tree with multiple fruits with multiple seeds.
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay, sure.
Okay. Now, quantum physics, quantum reality, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Here's my question. everything in its present tense. Our reality is present moment. Okay.
It's always the present moment. Yes.
If you loved your daughter, if I was to ask you if you loved your daughter, obviously you'd tell me yes, because you care for her, provide for, under the constraints of the rules of that society that affects your morals. Would that be correct?
Not for me. I don't have any kids that I'm aware of. So
just follow me. Humor me for a minute. You'll understand where I'm going here in a second. I have 2 PhDs and 3 masters. It'll all make sense in a minute, and I'm not saying that to be boastful.
Okay.
Even if it's evolution, you're going to care for your own offspring, for the development and the progression of that species. Okay.
I think that's a given, sure, for most species, anyways.
Well, for most people, I know people who I know people who don't care for their own kids.
Yeah, me too.
Yep.
A car that's broken is not going to operate correctly, but if a car is all its parts and everything are right out of the factory, it's going to run correctly 9 times out of 10. Okay. Here's my point. If let's say I love my family and everything else, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be based off of actions, experiences. What I'm trying to get to is its memories that are retained in our conscious awareness. Okay. If I was to be hit in the head and wake up a month later and didn't remember them, I wouldn't have that same motivational build that I have from all the memories that have piled up from the actions of the past.
Sure.
Are you following me?
Sure. Yep. Oh yeah. Yep. And that's yep. If it's severe enough, you're not gonna be that person again. That's true. Yep.
Okay. Now, do you remember in the Bible it says, whatever religion, I'm just going to use the Bible for an example, the Septuagint text. It says if a man claims to know the Creator, if a person claims to know the Creator but knows not love, then they know not the Creator, because the Creator is love. Do you follow me?
That's the claim.
Yeah, that's one of the many contradictions in the Bible. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Now it says he's love. Now the question is, does that love possess or have a self-awareness that directs it? Are you with me?
No, I don't think love itself has awareness of any kind. Love is an emotional state that comes from the brain of a being.
It's chemical.
I'm with you. Hang on for a minute.
Chemical.
Remember cause and effect. Stick with me for a minute. You made a challenge. I want to take you up on. Just stick with me for a minute, okay? Please.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Love. I don't think love is a feeling it as so much that it has feelings. Okay. I'm human. I don't say I have being human, because I am human. I have different emotions, but I am human. So, according to the Christian faith, God doesn't have love. He is love that is consciously aware of its own existence. Now, there's a problem with that, because we are judged and known by our actions. And the fruit that came from the Christian tree or the Christian God, that fruit doesn't match the love that he amplifies in 1 Corinthians 13. It doesn't match.
Yeah.
Okay. But that does not mean that love doesn't exist, and it does not mean that love would not be self-aware. Okay. Now I'm leading to a point that'll make sense. Do you believe that there is a universal substance, energy, whatever title you want on it, as a singular cause that gave rise to everything else in its present state? When I say universe, I mean everything that exists presently.
No, I do not.
In this reality.
No.
Okay. Now, do you remember Einstein taught E equals mc squared? Energy equals mass.
Yes.
Are you with me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
If I was to make a microscope, a subatomic microscope, and put the universe, everything in reality that exists presently that we're consciously aware of or not aware of, under it, and I was to go subatomic, what would everything in reality? It don't matter if it's every religion, every book, good, bad, positive, negative, God, devil, male, female, planet, stars, crap. It don't matter what it is. It would all
everything.
Subatomically, you could trace all. It would all go back. Everything would go to a single substance.
Well, it would go to a single point, if that's what you mean.
Yes.
And by the way, it's 42.
Yeah. But the point is, what we know now is that everything, no matter what its present manifestation, Energy equals mass. E equals mc squared. No matter what
I
is.
I like how you put that, by the way, because atoms and molecules do get rearranged into different things all the time. Like when we're gone, all of our constituent atoms and stuff are going to rearrange somewhere else and become something else. I like the way you put that.
I'm with you. I'm with you 100%. Stick with me for a minute, okay? You made a challenge.
That's how it works.
For a very long time, and no one's ever been able to do what I'm going to lead you to. Whether I finish it or not, it will be. Anyways, the point that I'm making is science. Science is not so much controlling or manipulating something as it is discovering what cause makes
science
the effect.
Science is a methodology. That's all it is a methodology.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if we took everything in existence, put it under a microscope, even atoms, neutrons, protons, whatever, those are different vibrative frequencies of the same universal substance.
Okay, I know where we're going here.
Now you know where I'm at?
Yeah, it's one of the basis for how they created things like string theory, stuff like that, because the strings all vibrate and stuff.
No. The string theory is a joke. Now, if there are multiple universes, it could be reality in one universe, okay? Now, here's my question. Are you familiar with Einstein quantum physics?
I'm not overly familiar, but I've heard the term used.
Okay. The single cause could give rise to infinite realities that coexist same time, same place, kind of like the DC Comics.
Okay.
Sure. Like the Crisis series. Yep. Okay.
So at some point within that theory, because it's not a proven fact, but it is a theory. But energy. Okay,
hang on. First of all, just a second. A theory in science is the highest echelon anything can be. It includes hypotheses and laws.
Degrees, and you just said it's not a fact; it's a theory.
It depends. It depends on the universe that the reality that you're operating in.
No, I don't think it does. Because a theory is a body of knowledge. It explains all the facts.
Humor me for a minute. Follow me, okay?
I'm sure you've heard of atomic theory, right? Would you agree that?
No.
Would you say that atoms are just a theory?
Every one of those are different manifestations of that single cause. I don't care about the effects. I care about the single cause. The point that I'm trying to lead to, if you would let me finish and get there, is that cause does possess self-awareness. Now, whether it's good or bad, those are still just effects. Call it God, devil, positive, negative, whatever you want.
Okay. How do you know that?
That's what I'm going to get to. And if you'll let me finish, I can actually prove that it has self-awareness.
Okay.
Well,
first, get ready to collect your Nobel Prize.
Yeah, I've talked to a number of physicists, and they say that the word cause doesn't even show up in their studies. So they don't look at cosmology as necessarily.
You can put whatever title on it you want. Okay.
But you're going to tell me that you're going to tell me whatever thing we're talking about, regardless what it is, you're going to tell me that this thing, you're going to show how it has self-awareness.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. I want to hear how you came to this conclusion.
Huh?
I said, I want to hear how you came to this conclusion.
Okay, do you remember the Law of Attraction, the movie, the man that was on the airplane that crashed with 147 bones broke, dead for 4 hours?
I have not seen the movie, so I don't
know.
Okay. Yeah. All right, let me back up for a minute. Because I do know how to contact you. Remember I told you the last part I'll either make completely public or not, but I will deliver what I promised to you. If their energy equals mass, Jesus turning wine into water, making arms grow back, if you had some direct connection to that universal substance that your conscious could direct or control to affect the atomic vibration that it would take, you could control you could control the physical effect that vibration of that energy took, therefore being able to manipulate reality, such as turning water into wine, changing the subatomic level, water would turn to wine.
Hold on a second. Would that not mean that consciousness would need to be something that is entirely separated from our physical body?
No, it would not, because the physical body.
So how does I don't understand how your consciousness affects anything outside of your decision making, your own mind.
Because the common definition, the common Blackwell definition of spiritual is a bunch of nonsense.
I agree.
The subatomic energy level is as real as you sitting on the chair that you're sitting on. The only difference is the roof over your head and the chair under your ass are just different manifestations of that energy at a different vibration. So you have a different manifestation of matter.
Well, okay, all right. I see what you're saying. Sure. Yes, okay. Atoms arrange themselves to become the things that we know of as matter. Sure.
Okay. Well, human thoughts become physical things. A thought, paperwork, blueprint, carpenter, boom, I got a house.
I guess if you write your ideas down on a piece of paper,
and then use your body to build those things.
You asked me if the spiritual would have to be completely separated from the body. I don't believe in the law of
the consciousness, not. I don't believe in spirits.
I 100% agree with you. What I do believe is that our physical universe is a vibrative frequency of that universal substance, whatever it is. Do we know what it is? Some may, some don't. But that chair I could put under a microscope, and if I was to go totally subatomic, possibly that we could, to where I could actually find the source, that would be the spiritual for me. Okay. Now
that's fine.
So I don't believe in the La La Land fantasy, but I do believe that infinite does have self-awareness. And here's just one reason why. Like reproduces like under a natural environment, okay? Thoughts become things. You could say that thoughts are spiritual, but it takes your consciousness, your self-awareness to direct your visualization to create an image in your mind. Now, that image in your mind creates a vibration and a frequency. That vibration and frequency is going to attract people, places, things, circumstances, and events that have the same vibrative frequency as you do, allowing you to produce that thought into tangible reality. Okay?
How do you know this?
How do I know that?
Yeah.
I built my own house and I visualized it in my head. I can see.
Okay, great. You drew up blueprints. Okay, everybody does that. But how do you know, like, if I have the same thought as some guy in Japan, how the fuck are we ever going to know that we just had that same thought? It doesn't work that way, dude. You get beyond the quantum realm and everything fucking changes.
Yes. Humble with me for a minute. Hear me out. I promise I have the credentials, the history, the circumstances, and provable evidence to back up what I'm saying, okay? Just give me a minute. I don't want to cast my pearls to swine, and I say that with all respect. Stick with me for a minute. Every tangible man-made object that is around us, you could call it the holodeck from Star Trek if you wanted. We live in projected thought in the physical reality, alchemy, whatever the hell you want to call it. Okay.
Alchemy is nonsense, and I don't believe any of that.
A person's thoughts do become things.
Sometimes.
That is your assertion.
Huh?
That is your assertion. Now,
I've had thoughts that have never come to fruition.
Yeah. So thoughts don't become things.
NASA uses direct, consciously controlled visualization to create memory muscles for its astronauts in case there's an emergency.
What?
By the practice of consciously, hang on, follow me.
That's training does that.
Consciously directed, repetitive visualization creates memory muscle, which creates
muscle memory. Yes.
In reference Okay, it's in martial arts, the whole 10 yards.
Yes,
The point
yes,
is
but
that
that's
our
not quite
body-
what you're making it out to be.
body- Okay. Now, like reproduces like, correct?
Every time? I don't know.
Not every time, no. I can start the process, but once I let it go, it's on its own if I don't directly influence it. Free will, for an example.
Free will is an illusion.
Anyway, yes and no. Yes and no. Some dogs have a 20-foot leash, another has 2 feet, but that 2 feet thinks it's got 20. So under that circumstance, yes, it would be an illusion.
I think we just convinced ourselves that we have free will.
the spiritual la land that people believe in, all that is the actual subatomic point that E equals MC square. The E that has always been, always will be. There's always been, always will be. There's no form it cannot take. There's nothing that it cannot become. But the question that it comes down to, does it have consciousness?
Wait, hold on. What did you just say? There's some the part. Repeat that. Are you talking molecules will take whatever form?
Those are still a vibration of that universal substance. Energy equals mass.
Vibration bullshit aside, I'm asking you. Okay, I'm a chemist. Okay, and I can tell you right now that not all the elements fucking mix. Some of them are dire enemies.
That is true. But where do they? But those are still vibrating at a certain observable.
Do you know
frequency.
why things vibrate and frequencies aside? Do you know why things vibrate? Because of the number of protons and electrons that roll around the nucleus.
All those are still manifestations. Look, energy equals mass.
How are they manifestations? They were spit out by stars.
Einstein's theory is a proven fact now. That's why it's called microscopes.
Wait, we're still having this issue with theories and facts. Fundamental misunderstanding.
No, you're not.
Atoms are a fact, right?
Using different metaphors to try to get to a point.
Okay.
Energy. There is a non-created energy, okay, that gives rise to everything. The point A, the number 0 is that energy. Now, when it manifests different numbers, those numbers become neutrons, protons, etc., eventually rising to planets, suns, universes, time, space, matter, whatever. The point is, does that number 0 that has always been, always will be, have self-awareness? Energy equals mass.
Energy is mass, and mass is energy.
Energy
can't have one without the other.
Energy is sped up matter, and matter is slowed down energy.
Yes, that's what I mean. Yes, thank you.
Energy, yes. Energy becomes mass. Mass can revert back to pure energy. But the point is, they have proven that
energy can become matter, not mass. Matter has mass, yes.
Yes. When I use the word matter, that means a present reality within the vibration that it has at that time. Okay? My question is the energy having its own consciousness.
No. That's not possible.
Consciousness
requires a mind.
Okay. I believe in evolution, okay? Things can evolve. Good. Just because something looks different today than it does a million years ago doesn't mean it's a different species. It just changed.
Sure. Well, it has a lineage, but okay, that's fine. Whatever. But you're telling me that you're saying that energy has a consciousness. That's not the case. A consciousness requires a mind. And yes, your mind is full of energy.
No,
but that is what
not mind. Not mind. Consciousness. Yes. Mind and consciousness are not the same. There had to be a single point of origin. There had to be a single point of origin that gave rise to all manifestations of present consciousness.
At some point, sure. But so what?
Okay.
The brain's evolved enough in specific species for them to have consciousness. Okay. It's inherent property.
You can be a little bit more precise than that. I mean, we centralize our consciousness.
I'm being vague out of respect for the different callers because not everyone has the same perspective. But there's
That's
only
funny because all the shit I used to believe in was so vague that they would use that as an excuse to.
That's fair. That's fair. Now, is it possible? Outside of the present knowledge that you or whoever possesses to contradict it, is it possible that the original origin of consciousness could have always been conscious?
How
I don't know, but how would that? Yeah, exactly. How would that be? Like, how would we even know that?
How, but is it possible?
You have to have a precedent or a parallel or a verified phenomenon indicating that such possibility exists. So what you got? We ain't got nothing. If you ask us if it's possible, there is no possibility. No.
So you're with me. You're with me under the present tense of the knowledge you presently have. It is possible that there is.
I just said exactly the opposite. I said
no, I don't believe it's possible.
Without the precedent or parallel or verified phenomenon indicating that a possibility exists, then we have a list of 0 possibilities.
That's correct.
Correct. But is not 0 still something? Even though it's nothing.
No,
I would say that 0 is not something. It's a list of nothing.
The word 0 is something because we created the word to express that.
Nothing is still something for the fact that nothing exists. You're a chemist.
It's still something.
Yeah, no, I disagree. As a chemist, I'm telling you, I disagree because, first of all, we've never encountered nothing as the definition that most people use the word nothing for. Everywhere we've looked, there's something.
Nothing means not existing.
Nothing does not exist.
Your consciousness a year before you were born was nothing.
My consciousness didn't exist before I was born. And even after I was born, it took a little while for that consciousness to kick in.
Because
that would be the correct definition of nothing. Not existing.
Because my consciousness, consciousness is an inherent property of our mind, our brain. Okay, and my brain was literally in an atomic state before I came to be.
And
so
it's
that's
not
what you mean, and it's never been nothing.
Brain. There have been unicellular microbes that have shown consciousness without even having any neurons.
Right. That's right.
But I'm with you. I'm 100% with you. But is it possible that universal substance or that universal nothingness that always was, past tense, and I don't mean a clock going backwards, I mean before time, space, and energy, before our three-dimensional concept of reality.
We don't. But first of all, we don't refer to it as before time and space because that indicates time still. Okay, we don't know what was before what we now know of as our current universe, the observable universe. Okay, so we don't know if there was even anything at all before all of this came into existence.
Right. Correct. The group of people that don't know, is it possible that there is people or whatever, is it possible that there could have been something that was eternally there? Is it possible?
Once again, if you can show a precedent or parallel or verified phenomenon indicating that such possibility exists, then we can say that the possibility exists. Until you do that, we have a list of possibilities.
Even though it's infinitely changing, all you have is the present reality. It's always going to be the present, no matter what, no matter where you go, what form you take, what reality you're in, it's always present. So even before
some words of wisdom I heard once. No matter where you go, there you are.
No, the present is the present, with or without you, with or without consciousness. The present is always present. It is the only thing that actually exists. Agreed?
So you don't subscribe to the brain in a jar thing, I guess, eh? we currently live in the now. We always live in the now. Future and past are always in front of us and behind us. So we always live in the moment.
So what was before all that? The now. Just in a different form, in a different state. Think about what
the
I just said.
future is before all that.
Because as Janis Joplin wisely observed, tomorrow never comes, man. It's all the same fucking day.
You said that people did not know what was before all that. What was before all that was that present moment.
Wait.
No, because space and time came into existence at that point.
No.
So there were no moments.
No, it takes consciousness to have time, space, and matter.
Show me.
Unconsciousness.
Oh my goodness.
The opposite of consciousness.
If you weren't here, your consciousness wasn't here, and none of our consciousnesses were here, all this other shit would still be here.
Bingo.
They've already proven, the whole tree fall in a forest thing. They actually know that the trees do make noise, even if no one's around to hear it, because it's causing sound waves.
You're right. Yes. Okay. I got you. You agreed with me.
Oh, did
Here's my point. Yes, you did. You said everything would be here whether consciousness existed or not.
Right. So.
But it was not presently in the state that it is presently now. It was in a different form presently than it is presently now.
Okay.
With me?
And sure, okay. But that's the evolution of the universe. Okay, so
here's my question to you, and then I'll get to my point. What causes?
You got to wrap this up soon, though, too. Okay, so just FYI.
I am, brother. If you knew how many visitors I had on my YouTube channel, you'd want to take my call. How many? And I'm saying that as credibility to you, okay, for views for you.
Yeah, I don't really give a shit, but okay.
What gave rise? What created or what brought into present existence consciousness outside of present reality, no matter what form it's ever taken? Think about it.
I am of the camp. Let's just get this straight right now. I am of the camp that a consciousness is not possible without a brain.
Agreed.
Or without. Okay, actually, I can't say that because we have discovered things that are conscious without brains. So, but it's not the same level of consciousness that you and I would think of as being conscious. But they have a
consciousness
definite awareness.
Consciousness is not the way David Chalmers described it. It's not that you have zero consciousness until you have a certain level of.
But is it possible that consciousness? Is it possible that consciousness, maybe not the same as ours, in whatever form? The point is being self-aware, being able to look inwardly and make change inwardly. Under those conditions, is it possible that it could have existed as a point presently outside of time, space, and matter, eternally past?
You just said the word that matters there, existence. And existence requires all three of those.
Okay.
You can't exist if you're outside of space-time.
We
require coordinates for existence.
We discovered it. We discovered electricity. We didn't create it. We used manipulated mechanics to harness it. That's why we have TVs, radios, this phone call. But electricity is still there. So how many things exist now that we're not aware of?
What?
How many things exist presently right now that we're just not aware of yet?
Why would that matter?
Probably lots of species we haven't discovered yet of animals.
Under the infinite continuous stream, which is a proven theory, all possible realities.
There's a proven theory? Theories in science cannot be proven.
No, it's called the causal theory. It is a proven theory. Look it up.
Theories in science cannot be proven.
No.
There's a rule in science that you cannot prove a theory.
I'm giving you the title, the scientific name that they put on it, not me. There are infinite coexisting realities as we're speaking. Okay?
That is a hypothesis, not a theory.
Yeah.
No, the colossal is called a theory for a reason. If you look it up, you'll understand why.
Because the people who call it a theory don't know what a theory is?
No. Okay, let me say peekaboo. Let me give you peekaboo. You didn't know I existed until today, correct?
Correct.
Does that prove that I didn't exist yesterday? Or just
No,
because
not at
you
all.
didn't know or didn't
Just
believe
means we
it?
hadn't met yet.
That doesn't prove. Okay. So here's the problem. With not believing in a God. If God is
There's
beyond
no problem.
good, bad, all that, okay. If he does exist or a creator exists, and he wants to play peekaboo, why are we as humans wasting our time? Tell me for a minute. If I don't want you to know I exist, you would have known if I told you. Are you following me?
Yes, but you see, there's a problem with what you're talking about. I didn't know that you exist. That's correct. I had no idea. But there's also like almost 8 billion other people that I don't know exist. Right? I've seen them maybe wandering around on a TV show or whatever. And
I'm looking for the colossal theory. I'm not finding it.
Okay,
but that doesn't fall under the same thing as the existence of a God. Okay.
Let me wind it up. We humans have evolved to such a state. We need to put a chair out, or as many chairs as you want, let's say at the United Nations, and put God on there. And if whoever the hell shows up, if it's the real God, then we'll listen.
There is no real God.
No, follow me for a minute. It's called the colossal. You'll understand why it's called a theory.
We've been following you around every rabbit hole you could point to, and all I'm finding is rabbit shit.
Let me wind it up. let me wind it up. That's all I'm asking. Okay? We are sending people to the moon, to Mars, etc., etc., etc. But we human beings don't give a damn about the people, our neighbors that are starving, our veterans.
Oh yeah, I'm on board with it.
Except that, yeah, we do. A lot of us give a damn about those things. So
yes, exactly.
What is this colossal theory? Because I'm not finding it.
And we got to wrap this up. So.
Yeah.
I'm an atheist that believes that there is a possibility of a God.
Okay, then show me the precedent or parallel or verified phenomenon indicating that such possibility exists.
Yeah. So I believe in putting a chair out and quit talking about him until he does show up. And we humans are wasting our times. The only planet that we know of that has life, and we build nuclear weapons. Are you following me?
I don't see what one has to do with the other, but sure.
I care about.
I will agree with you on one point. We are wasting our time.
I believe in the continuance of our species.
Oh, it'll continue one way or another. Don't you worry.
I'm afraid this conversation will continue longer than our species.
Yes.
Listen.
Now, but can you give me just a simple yes or no? I was trying to make a point, but I'm not able to do it. Can you give me a yes or no? Just a simple black and white, because there are absolutes in this universe. Is there a possibility that a God has exist, or is it possible that one could come into existence?
No.
What's your okay, hang on, because as an atheist, I think the discussion of whether or not a God exists is ridiculous because nobody can give me an answer that's coherent on what a God is.
Yeah. And my definition of gods is that every god that was ever worshipped was a magical, anthropomorphic immortal. And since magic isn't real, then a god cannot be real.
That's right.
No possibility. Zero.
So no, I do not think that a God has or ever will exist. There may be a species out there in the universe that could be godlike, but who knows?
Yeah, we've had them here on Earth. You know, like I remember Lemmy.
You remember Star Trek with Q?
Yeah.
Yeah, with magic, essentially.
So there could, instead of being a god, but there could be godlike creatures, correct?
But no, that was a TV show.
Yeah, that's entertainment, man.
That had a lot of magical stuff in it. You know, telekinesis, teleportation, telepathy. These things are not real.
There are beings out there that can manipulate time, space, and matter to create whatever reality they want in a physical sense.
No, I don't believe any species, no matter how advanced they get, can break what we know of being the laws of physics.
Earth was flat,
not with the powers of their mind.
Wrong.
And you couldn't have the powers of the mind without a mind. You can't have a mind without a brain. Or without.
I'm not talking about supernatural powers. I already agree that the mind and the universe physically are one and the same.
Well, if you're not talking about supernatural powers, then you're not talking about a god.
Have a mind. You're anthropomorphizing the universe. It doesn't have a mind.
Well, I don't know how to say this any other way. I hate to bust your bubble. There is alchemy.
You're not going to.
It's a science.
Alchemy is bogus.
Not even. Hear me. I'm going to tell you.
Yep, you already told us. You told us that there is alchemy. No, there isn't. Alchemy is a bogus science. We know that there's a bogus science. Yes.
Okay. I was in a plane crash in 1984. Okay. 174 bones in my body.
Can we end this?
Left leg. I'm going to tell you. Left leg missing. Right arm missing. Flatline dead for 4 hours.
Okay.
I'm walking, breathing, talking. I have my right arm, left leg back. Okay.
So you regenerated?
Huh?
You regenerated.
What are you, a salamander?
My consciousness, me, not a spiritual. My consciousness, how can I explain this? If I was to take, if I was to
you can in any convincing fashion.
Level, I went back to a subatomic level, but yes, I still had consciousness.
Okay, we're done. Okay. we're done. So
feels like you've done Twitch DMT.
Before I go back to a subatomic level.
Hang on, you asked for credibility. Let me back it up.
No, you can't back it up. We've spent way too long on this.
Listen, this is a conversation we can have again another time, man. We're going to have to wrap this up, okay? So,
yeah, this has been too long. You can't get there. You literally can't get there from here.
I am getting there.
You're not.
No, you're not going to get there. I'm going to have to say
we've given you too much time.
You've looped around. And we've got a 2-hour limit here, bud.
We can give you lots more time and we'll never get there. So we're going to end it now.
Let me say one thing.
Okay.
See, they don't want proof. They challenge people and don't want proof. Do you want proof or not?
Well, you're not going to give us any.
Show me the peer-reviewed documentation of guy grows his leg back.
That's what I'm going to give you if you'll listen. Tulsa Regional Medical Center, October 1st, 11:30. Chuck McGowan, Dr. White, and Masses Bean. Okay? Video filmed it. Okay? It happened over a 2-year process.
You regrew a leg.
Regrew a limb. It's not possible, bud. Sorry.
You regrew a limb. And of course, there's documentation. What's the name of the scientific study?
I think we got it. I think I got
Tulsa Regional Medical Center. I'm going to give it to you.
You want me to call a medical center?
I was dead in a freezer for over 4 hours. Okay? I'm not saying
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't believe you. I don't believe you.
And if it was real, I wouldn't have to call a medical center. There would be documentation for it. You'd be able to give me a link. You'd be able to give me the name of the study. We'd already know about it.
Yeah. I think we're done with this because this has gone from what I thought had a potential to be kind of interesting has gone to ludicrous speed. So I think maybe this was a dream you had and you convinced yourself it was real because nobody can lose a limb and grow it back. It just isn't possible. I was going to say design. We're not, we don't have that within us. Okay. We can't regrow limbs.
That
Tell that to my cousin that's missing a fucking leg.
Yeah, and even if you did, that still wouldn't prove
4
that
hours
there can be
in a
that
freezer.
there can be a disembodied mind, or that telekinesis is real, that a mind without a body to generate it somehow generates energy without anything to generate it.
No, it's not happening. And you can't be frozen for 4 fucking hours and they can revive you. It just ain't going to happen.
Yeah.
Right.
So we
spent
too much time on this. Do we have another caller, or are we done?
That I'm not sure. Let me check here. We're done. So anyway, we did have a little bit of fun, I think.
Said that I needed another beer. I didn't feel like arguing.
I would agree. Hell, if I could drink, I'd be hammered by now after that conversation. That's all I know. Yeah, I think Aron, I think we still have, even though he claims to be an atheist, and I know that not all atheists are the same. The one thing we do share in common is a lack of belief in deities, and that's fine. Yeah. But there's a
2
lot
PhDs
I know atheists
and 3 masters.
Right.
And he thinks that a theory is different from a fact.
Yeah. Doogie Howser.
Or that you can prove a theory and that it becomes a fact.
Right. Yeah. I do want to say a couple of things before we do hang out. First of all, Aron, man, thanks for being my co-host today for this one, man. It's been a pleasure.
My pleasure. Hopefully I can return the favor soon.
Oh, hell yeah. I'll come and join you anytime. I think we make a pretty good team. Also, you guys out in the chat, thanks for hanging out with us. Also want to thank our patrons, Helen Greene, Logan Fisher, Amanda McLeod, Eric Ozols, Rion, Deneen Murphy, Dan D, Michael Wiseman, Cindy Plaza, Sunny Shell, Aaron Coalson, and the one and only Phil Calderone. Thank all you guys for what you do for the show. We appreciate it. It's what enables us to keep on going. If you guys are, I'm pretty sure most of you know who Aron is. Definitely check out his channel. They popped it in the chat a few times. And if you like listening to people talk about how they found their way free from their previous belief systems, you can check my channel out, because that's what I do. And if any of you want to come and tell your story, I can be reached at 604atheist@gmail.com. So, if you check out Aron's channel, you'll see all the kind of cool stuff that he does. He rips on all kinds of biblical passages. He talks about evolution. He talks about the impossibility of stupidity and ancient people that believed stupid shit. So anyway, in a nutshell, I guess. And Aron, I think last thing I'll say is I'll see you at BajaCon, brother.
See you.
This is Skeptic Haven. Let's talk.